Hello and welcome to Adam's Music Box. Where earlier today I posted a video about my favorite song that is about veterans. Now I want to talk about my favorite album, my favorite concept album, no less, that deals with veterans. And this is Pink Floyd's final real album, if you know what I mean. It's The Final Cut. And this album was in many ways unlike every other Pink Floyd album in that the music was really, really subservient to the theme and to the lyrics. Where prior to that, I would say that what made Pink Floyd special is that the music and the lyrics tended to comfortably coexist. But this album was really a vehicle for a concept about which Roger Waters felt increasingly strong. And this is about his lament that he grew up in a post-Second World War era where he thought, turned out to be wrongly, he thought that there was an attitude that we need to put war behind us. We need to stop sending our young men to die for, frankly, no good reason at all. But of course, after the First World War, that same sentiment existed, and his grandfather died in that war. But that sentiment didn't last very long because there comes the Second War, where his father died. And the loss of both his father and his grandfather were things that really haunted him and informed his poetry and lyrics for, frankly, for all of his career, and they still are informing his more recent work. With this album, though, it was really the first time that, without any other metaphors or allusions to other things, he really tackled this subject full on. The subject certainly existed in just about all of Pink Floyd's previous albums, songs like Corporal Clegg from A Saucer Full of Secrets, right up to The Wall, which is very heavy on these themes. But the final cut strips back everything else and allows Rogers' lyrics to tell his view of what the state of veterans were in the 80s, in terms of how society and governments were treating them, the attitude of the powerful to go to war where the young suffer for so that the tyrants, the rulers might sit back and see how things play out for them. He warned about the possibility of a confrontation between superpowers and the destruction to civilian life that might cause. He commented on the hypocrisy of the way that politicians and those in the media comment about global affairs, both small wars and big. And he brought it all together in an album that it's a heavy listen, but it's incredibly moving. If you're listening carefully, I think it's almost impossible not to shed a tear at times when you're listening to this album. It's very downbeat. It's not the kind of album that you'd bring to you, to play at a summer picnic. Then again, I'm not sure if Pink Floyd ever really wrote albums that were meant for such an occasion. But this is one that really is it's like an elegy, if you will. It's like a memorial combined with a commentary about the present day, so that no more future generations need to suffer the scourge of war that blighted others and took young lives away needlessly. And I think that on Veterans Day, that is an incredibly important message because as we thank those who gave their service, as well as those who, in doing so, made the ultimate sacrifice, it's very, very important to highlight the fact that we do not want nor need future generations of young dead men for someone else's political gain, which somehow never becomes a gain for anyone else. And that, again, that message is communicated very, very, very clearly in this album. It sold well, but not as well as some previous albums because I think people wanted the music to be a bit more typical of a Pink Floyd album. They wanted something where there was at least some trace of something that wasn't so serious. But Roger didn't care, and his solo career, which followed, is really proof because from here on out, he really explored the concepts of war and peace without anyone, namely the other members of Pink Floyd, holding him back. That was true with Radio Chaos, which is an allegory about both social deprivation and nuclear destruction. It's true about Amused to Death, about how we go numb to the realities of war because of media manipulation. And it was true on his most recent album, "Is This the World We Is This the World We Really Want?" I believe it's called, all about more recent wars. But this still, just to me, was the most balanced of all of his many great sort of anti-war records. The poppies, of course, on the back cover are very much a nod to the 11th of November, where in many countries the poppy is a symbol of remembrance. I think that the whole thing was just very, very powerful. And on this of all days, I would encourage you to take a listen to it. That's my thoughts. Let me know what other albums or songs or other pieces of music you find meaningful on this day. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.